Welcome to MakeupClasses.com. Hey, everybody over at Facebook. Welcome to MakeupClasses.com. I'm Dawn. This is Finding Beauty. I hope you guys have been enjoying the past week, last week, and into this week as I do makeup tutorials and also talk about fashion and hair on different decades. So yesterday we were talking about the 1980s. It was a lot of fun, a lot of great feedback, especially on my hair. A lot of people were, who know me personally were, they let out my little secret that my hair was a lot bigger in the 90s. Yeah, that was true because I used a lot of hairspray. Yesterday, I didn't have any hairspray in my hair. And I was trying to, play it a little down, have a little bit of class. But yeah, 1990s was a lot of fun with big hair, big makeup, go big or go home. Which brings us into the 1990s. The 80s was very loud and boisterous and a lot of new ideas, feminine ideas, pushing power in women in, movies and television. We see a lot of advertising and marketing towards women, especially with beauty products, hair products, and fashion. Everything is done in the 80s. We bring back so much of other decades. So many different style elements are brought into the 80s. So many different pieces or ingredients of this spectacular recipe. So it was just a decade of color. So now we move into the 1990s, and obviously I've lived through the 1990s. I was a young adult, and I was thinking about, how I felt in the 1990s, and I really felt of good spirit, of at ease, look forward to of a career in television. I had a very entrepreneurial spirit throughout the 90s, and of course into the 2000s still today. But that was really embedded into me during the 80s and the 90s. And I think that that feeling was all over the United States for the most part, from what I was reading, because we were still doing really great financially as a country. So who do we have? We have George Bush in the early 90s, and then we have Bill Clinton from 93 all the way to 2001. And we coasted. It was very vanilla. People were relaxed. We were resting on our laurels, I guess you could say. Wall Street was booming. In 1993, Bill Clinton signed the NAFTA, I hope I'm saying that right, NAFTA agreement, yes, the free trade agreement, where we open up the borders of Mexico and Canada and the US, and really anything goes. I mean, there was so much deregulation of business. And then towards the end of the 1990s, Clinton signed off on a deregulation of Wall Street as well, and the banking industry with insurance and loans. So we'll get into that into the 2000s. But so a lot of free trade, a lot of production. Clinton also opened up and signed off on China to be part of the world, World Trade Order. I believe that was it. Sorry, guys, I'm doing this all by memory. So China was in the mix. We have so much production and goods coming overseas as well. So we're coasting. We're happy. Friends comes out on TV, Seinfeld. We have a lot of great movies, Pulp Fiction. We have so much entertainment. Cable takes off. We start to have more competition in the news industry, news media. starts to take particular angles in news as well. We see that in cable news. So a lot going on. I think for the most part, people felt pretty happy from what I was reading. We were just doing our thing here in the United States. We did have the Gulf War, of course. We did have tensions with the Middle East, but that was nothing new to us. So Americans were just doing their thing and staying abreast to what was going on in the world. But at the same time, that me culture that all started in the 70s and that overabundance in the 80s definitely carried into the 90s. So now we have this swing of the pendulum where style kind of, it always is synonymous with what's going on in the world. And we see in the 1990s this new relaxed look, this new minimalism to clothing. Enter Calvin Klein, Tommy Hilfiger. We also have a lot of global designs, a lot of cross-cultural design in clothing as well. So young people are broadening their horizons, learning about other cultures as well. We also have a lot of movement in the concern of world affairs. So famine and hunger issues throughout the world was also a concern. So we see like a lot of concerts, live aid, that sort of thing. Hi, Diane over at De La Rue Boutique in Nutley. Welcome, my friend. Yes, I've been talking about all different styles of different decades. So this is perfect for you. She's in fashion. Welcome. So 1990s was less glamour, very simple clothing styles. Really, we took it down a notch in the 90s. The pendulum swung from all of that color and distraction on the body that really took from the female, but it gave us a sense of power, right? We were going to do big hair, big makeup, big clothing, big jewelry, big shoes. Everything was a standout, right? So now we take it down a notch. We're into flannel, sportswear, leggings, Keds. Remember the white Keds? Oversized everything, oversized sweatshirts. I have to say, guys, when I went in my closet, I wasn't finding too much from the 90s. Yeah. The most I really could find, well, I found this top, which I've worn before on Finding Beauty. Strapless was in more to the late 90s. Silks, very flowy type of clothes, very shapely. Also towards the end of the 90s. Thin was in, thin and even thinner. So we're swinging back to the 60s and 70s when it comes to body type, and the athletic supermodel look was dying off. And the dilemma was that the supermodels that had built up their career, they were so classy and had so much glamour, and they were representing so many different clothing lines that really were very glamorous. Now this simple style, grunge look, punk look, really wasn't going to fit with that supermodel mold. So now we bring in a lot of thinner models, Kate Moss. We call it the heroin chic. Heroin, yes, that thin, where you look like you were taking some type of drug and you were really, really skinny on the runway. And we also create that effect, that heroin chic look in the makeup as well. Hair. Okay, so remember I mentioned Friends. We have the Rachel, which was like a very stacked bob, a lot of layers. We have a lot of chunky, highlights. In the early 90s, remember, it's not a light switch. We don't just go from 80s to 90s. Things progress, right? Things move slowly as production changes, ideas change, design changes, that sort of thing. Advertising, right, is huge influence. So we still have a little bit of the big hair coming into the early 90s, crimped hair. We see a lot of different hot tools and barrettes, banana clips, the messy bun that was in any type of updo that had a lot of fallout, PC, very PC. Again, we see that with highlighting. There was a lot of texture and movement in the hair in the 1990s, and that was because of the type of cut, of course, and also the use of highlight and color in hair as well. So we have this cross-cultural look, this relaxed feel. Everything is going great. You know, Bill Clinton's in office. We have lots of trade, lots of production. Costs are going down. Companies are moving out of America. They're going to Mexico. They're going to China. They're going to India. They're going all over the world because they realize that they can not only have these amazing tax cuts, tariff cuts on products, but now we could even lower our labor costs. So things are moving out of America. Costs are going down or sustaining. For anybody that has, you know, lived through the 70s, 80s, and 90s, you notice that prices on some goods were still the same. There wasn't that much inflation from the 1970s and 80s into the 90s. So things were really the same, and that was because of more production overseas. The only issue was that, yes, we signed off on NAFTA. We opened up China. Now we are starting to have some dilemmas. People are becoming aware of environmental cost. What is it doing to our environment, our planet? And we have people that are looking at that, looking at fashion and beauty and commerce through an environmental lens. And we also are starting to see issues with child labor, and we'll get into that in the 2000s, where fashion houses are exploiting children as well. So yes, prices are lower for us Americans, but what is the cost worldwide? So, but again, we were in the 90s, we were relaxed, we were coasting, we were wearing our big clothes, our flannel, our grunge, listening to our hip hop music, while all of these things are going out in the world. And the reason, guys, why I do this American history lesson is because, again, and I really believe this, what is macro affects the micro. So if you're into makeup, hair, and clothing, or if you're a student of this, it's really important for you to study American history and also world history when it comes to commerce as well. All right, so 1960s and 70s have a comeback. We see a lot of secondhand stores coming into the picture. We have vintage clothing. I remember going to vintage clothing shops in the late 80s and 90s and just really enjoying that. So that was really in. What else? The heroin chic. Okay, so hair was very PC, chunky highlights, blunt cuts were in, right? Very blunt, straight haircuts. Flat ironing. That's why I have my hair flat ironed today. Feathered bangs. I think I covered it all. Crimped hair. I remember the crimped hair and the banana clips. Yes. Okay. So 1990s makeup. One of the things that we notice in photographs, especially with celebrities and musicians, that makeup was a little lighter than their actual skin color. That was part of the grunge look, but I'm also going to guess from a product point of view, mineral makeup was starting to hit the scene. And if you have any type of flash with the camera on mineral makeup, you'll notice that it will give you some flashback and the skin will appear lighter. But just for the effect today, I'm going to use a little bit of a lighter foundation. And again, anything goes. The 1990s, like the 80s, we had so many products, so much available to us. It was, the sky was the limit, really. I mean, there was so much available to us. But we were starting to, when it came to the style, we were becoming more minimalist and simplifying things. All right. I'm really happy. And this is what really created my thin eyebrow. The 1990s thin eyebrows were in. A lot of women were over tweezing. Hello. And then you never got your eyebrows back. Well, hopefully you did. But the thin eyebrow was really in. So I'm just going to go with my natural brow and keep it really skinny. I saw some photos of celebrities yesterday. The brows were even thinner than mine, which I was kind of shocked. But yeah, thin eyebrows were in. Lighter foundation. When it came to eyeshadows and color, we loved frosted color. We still see frost. We still see greens. Blue was really popular in the 90s as well. But what really took the center stage were your browns. So we see a lot of that grunge look, that heroin chic look with the with brown. So I'm going to start playing around with some brown colors and just kind of create that heroin chic, grungy look. Not a lot of definition to the eyes. It was a blended shadow, smoky eye, I guess you could say, would be a great description, but using a lot of browns. So I saw a lot of many pictures of brown makeup. Also, the brown was used under the eye. I'm going to use eyeliner as well, but to create that smoky look, brown shadow under the eye as well. Nirvana, huge band in the 90s, big influence on that underground scene. Just a lot of Seattle, I guess you could think of Portland, that area of the country had a lot of influence as well. And I think I was reading about coffee trade, how there was this huge coffee explosion. Coffee was like, in my opinion, like the new wine, right? We see a lot of coffee makers. And I think the coffee industry, especially in the Pacific Northwest, and that whole grunge look that really came out of that area, we kind of focus on that area of the United States as well. And we look for our fashion from that area. Skateboarding, a lot of sports, a lot of outdoor sports, a lot of extreme sports. In the 90s, we start to see people like daredevils and sports, taking sports to the next level, was big in the 90s as well. All right, so I'm just using a little bit of a goldish brown frost. I was looking at pictures of Destiny's Child and Jennifer Lopez yesterday, and they all had beautiful frost going on their eyes, a lot of browns. And the outfits were simple. They were flowy and simple. So I'm just going to speed this up. I'll use a little more brown, a little more darker, just to give myself a smoky look for you guys. Sorry, Instagram just goes down. So just more smoky, more of a brown smoky look. Okay, perfect. All right, eyeliner. I saw a lot of brown eyeliner. You know, when I was looking for lashes yesterday, I know I said that 1990s lashes reemerge. I remember lashes from the theater. I also remember using lashes in photography sessions and also on TV, but I didn't really read about it when it came to the everyday woman putting lashes on. So I'm going to just stick with mascara today because I want to give myself that relaxed grunge look. But I started in the talk show industry in the 90s, and I used lashes on TV, which I love, 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 and haven't stopped using. They look amazing. I was using more of the individual lashes though than the strip. So I was giving people that more of a natural look, I guess you could say. All right, so I put some brown eyeliner, did a nice smoky look. Hey, over at Instagram, welcome, welcome. Welcome to MakeupClasses.com. Thank you. All right, so I'm going to use some flat matte bronzer. We see a lot of burgundy colors, a lot of brick colors in blush. But again, we're going for like that grungy, almost goth look in a way, I guess, with the lighter color skin and some brown blush. So think everything brown from the 90s, your reddish browns, your brick browns, orangey browns, and also frosts as well. I'll use some lighter powder. Just to make sure that I do have that light effect for you, because that truly was the 90s. Good. The eyeshadow, I think, looks accurate. And we'll add some mascara. And I'm going to be really careful with the mascara, separate the lashes. Good. Okay. So lipstick, synonymous with the rest of this look. A lot of browns, burgundies, brick colors. I have a kind of mauvey, bricky brown. So I'm going to use this, which was a very classic 1990s color. Everybody was using that mauvey color. Okay, so I'm just going to use my flat Swisper. And you could see that I have that mauvey brown look. My husband just came home. There he is from work. If you hear him in the background, he's trying to tiptoe. You could see him on tonight at Girls Gone Green on our sports show every Wednesday night. Oops, I'm talking and messing this up. Okay, so that brown, this is a matte brown color. But we also see frost, a little bit of frost or gloss on top of browns as well. So again, guys, the 90s was that relaxed coasting feel of the economy. Everything is good. A lot of production in film and television. And I really believe that the makeup and hair was synonymous. Wow, I look like I'm, like a classic Friends look. If you ever watch Friends on TV, they wore a lot of this brown makeup. Maybe a little too dark for me. I'm going to shape this up with some gloss after the video, and then I'll take the photograph. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video and learned a lot about the 1990s. I have to say, I was reading a lot of articles and there wasn't anything really crazy or that stood out to me that was super, super unique about the 1990s and style. Maybe the crimped hair and the banana clips. All right, guys, have a great day. I will see you tomorrow morning, and we're going to move on to the new millennium, 2000 through 2009. Also, in the late 1990s, we have this infatuation with Y2K. So we see a lot of that symbolism in fashion as well. Oh, yeah, and a lot of Disney princesses, too. If you like Disney, that was huge in the 90s. All right, guys, have a great day. Namaste. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Bye, everyone.